So I made this paper up because I went through everything one at a time, and everything that had municipality beside it, I went through it. So some of the things were HDM, target vacant and underutilized residential commercial buildings. That's HDM kind of does that. Some things are county and not municipality. For example, broadband for people who don't have it, that's not really our issue. So I went through, some things had already been stated in a different way, but these were the things that came. Now, there's a bunch, as you see in the middle, of things that we're already doing. You know, every business has access to water. We're in a repaving program, installation of sidewalks, parking locations. We publicize grant awards. We work with ODOT. We utilize bed tax. So there are things that it said in here: time frame 1 to 2 years, time frame 1 to 4 years, time frame 5+ years. And some of them really are just sitting down talking about things. Some of them I don't think are going to cost us anything. For example, you know, examine zoning to separate land use. That's not going to cost us any money. So I went down through here. You can read all those yourselves. I'm not going to read those. 10 of the items that mentioned municipality were actually county issues. And then down on the bottom, I just put some of the items that were not mentioned. These are just some things that I thought of. Future park upgrades, renovation, village hall upgrades, renovation, possible new building, going through current ordinances for clarification, possible repeal, recognition of longtime businesses inside the village, create new business packets to inform owners of signage, design, zoning rules so they aren't caught off guard. The big problem we have had on the design review board is everybody puts their stuff up, then finds out they've got to apply, then come to us and say, oh, can we have this sign we already put up? Even the county does that. They did a whole mural and we're like, oh, we didn't know we had to ask you guys if we could do this. So what are we going to do? Can we paint over their mural? No. Were we happy about it? No. So if we know there's a business coming in, you know, we can get ahead of the game and do that. These are just ideas. I'm not saying that we have to do them. They're just, I was brainstorming. And then we're going to have to create a line item in the budget for these strategic initiatives and notify the auditor of the savings plan so that we can continue growing that without her telling us we can't have X amount of dollars, and you all know why that is. So that's what I did, so that it kind of makes it easier then to go through everything line by line in the implementation part of the strategic initiative. I just try to make it a little easier for us.
I guess, you know, the items that you have under not mentioned, we are doing something for the year, aren't we, this year?
Yeah.
Trying.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we'll have some luck.
But we should be planning. I mean, there's always going to be something that this building needs, or if we want to
Right.
move to another bit, like we've got a plan for the future. We can't just, okay, well, we'll do this one this year, we'll do this one next year. We gotta, the whole point of this strategic initiative is to develop a plan for the future of the village.
Okay. I'll jump around. The 1 to 4 years. Identify housing areas that aren't developed.
That was what was in here.
We've tried it. I mean, between Nate and I, we sent out, I don't know how many letters to builders all over Ohio. We got no responses. We identified all the building lots that were available. So, I mean, that's still my #1 priority. What do we really do?
Well, and there's some of these that we can't really do. Promote tiny homes utilizing local labor. That was in the initiative. What are we going to do about that? I mean, there's nothing that we can do to promote tiny homes utilizing local labor. We've had, I know of at least 2 people that have come and asked to be able to build a tiny house because that's not, they have to come and ask the zoning, planning zoning, is that right?
Yeah, typically they have to get variance for the square footage.
Right.
They're
Be-
under.
If they're underneath, right. So, yeah, and some of these things are just stuff that aren't our issue. And I understand that, but I just wanted to get into the implementation, figure out what we haven't done, what could possibly be something we need to talk about, and if we don't, then we cross it off and we move on. For example, this one, encourage downtown occupancy and keep landlords up to date on downtown stats. I don't even think we have any downtown stats. Do we have downtown stats, Nate? Foot traffic, that kind of thing?
Not really, no.
So,
With Judy Lamp keeps I've not seen it, but keeps a kind of a running tab of buildings and owners that are looking for something specific or, maybe coming up for sale or rent.
well, and I know
I'm
some
sure
of the
she'd share
business
that.
owners keep track, like on Ladies Night Out, they'll keep track of how much foot traffic they got for
Mhm.
that event. I know that some of them
Yeah.
keep track of that.
For events, there's a lot of information available, but day to day, no, not really. And I don't know how I wouldn't begin to know how to
No.
quantify those numbers.
Yeah, those would be great numbers to have, but.
Yeah, but
on earth-
how would we even
Yeah.
do that?
Now, I do know there's soft or programs available that you can purchase that it's getting a little big brothery.
Yeah.
It'll, within feet, I guess, you set up an area and it'll register all the cell phone, the area code or the location based on the phone number of the cell phone. Like if I walk through a certain area of, say, Columbus, if they have this program, it'll say that this number, which is a Millersburg number, was here at this time. So you can get some information that way.
You're right, that is kind of big
It-
brother.
It's getting pretty.
Yeah, that is, yeah,
It
that
doesn't
is.
give you names or, I don't know if
Yeah.
it even gives you the phone numbers. I think it may just tell
Even if
you
it
the
was just area
location,
code.
that it's, we have a couple from Pittsburgh
Right.
is here today.
Right.
Would they have to have a location on their phone on?
I don't
Oh,
know.
I
I
bet
don't
they
know any
would.
specifics about it. Judy was actually talking about it, that her and the chamber went through a session on that,
On how to.
that it's available. So,
I know she tracks
How to
the
creep
number
out
of
visitors
hits
to
on the
your town.
Yeah,
website,
right.
Yeah,
because she's told me
We know
that.
that you're here.
Because that's when I was complaining about we don't have a nice brochure, which we do now,
yeah.
but, so.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
you can look at your Facebook and your social media interactions. She has a good gauge on where to market things.
Mhm.
I just don't know on our end, beyond events, how you,
Yeah,
Day
how
to
you would
day.
even, yeah. And really, it would have to be business owners, it would have to be HDM, it would have to be that way, because we're not gonna go out and count people, and we're not gonna go do any of
No.
that. That seems like a waste of time. But it was just something that was in the implementation part, so, like I said, some of this, whatever.
Didn't we talk about a tourism booth?
yeah,
Where, I mean, I'm,
a
Willing to-
24/7
yeah, especially on Sunday when you.
kiosk or something that would always be open and available for
Right,
information.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm willing to donate some time.
Where was it? Where we presented something, it was a standalone booth.
I know the chamber's been working on doing
But
something.
I thought
with
someone
this.
came in and talked to us about that. It was interactive, and that's, I mean, basically what it was, it's for visitors. But it was a standalone booth we could just put on a corner somewhere.
Mhm.
It's rather interesting.
How long
To
ago
tell
was that?
people,
Yeah, Jeff,
to
I
tell
remember
people
that.
what,
Get,
I don't
talk,
remember
it gives
that.
you all the information about the village. I think
Yeah.
businesses could load their profiles, they could select wherever they wanted, but it was very informative for visitors. And that was a couple of years ago, I think we presented that.
Was it like some kind of a pamphlet station
No.
or something?
Well, no, I mean, it was an interactive
It was.
computer system.
Right.
Had a screen and all that. I think downtown map of the downtown, business locations that you could pick and choose. And I mean, it was several $1,000s to implement, of course. But I thought they maintained it even.
Which really, in the grand scheme of things, isn't that big of a
No,
cost if it's something that's accessible 24/7.
yeah, I think some of the things we talked about, one was location, because there was not a good place to put it to avoid vandalism,
Vandalism. Mm-hmm.
unless you actually put it out here under the roof or something, but I remember, somewhere we got literature on that somewhere, at least we did have.
Well, and one of the things that they mentioned in here was an e-bike charging station as municipality, but I feel like that's a slippery slope. If we put up e-bike charging station, then they're gonna want us to have electric vehicle charging stations, and it's just gonna snowball into an expense that we as the village, I don't think that we want to incur.
Well, but you charge those, you charge for those services. I was really surprised, I was in Xenia about a month ago, they still have parking meters,
Who does?
Xenia.
I was just somewhere too, and they had parking.
They all took credit card.
Oh, no money,
Loudonville still got them too.
yeah.
And there's the old fashioned kind.
Yeah, the
Quarters.
quarters, yep. Yeah.
They charge $1 an hour. And there was no parking spaces on our main street.
All parked up. But like the create countywide brand for signage, I mean, if the county wants to do a signage brand, that's not really our issue,
Well,
right?
what came out of the workshop was be consistent.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing they point out was the signage in Walnut Creek,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but not quite that
that's nice.
large and elaborate.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the idea, was to get all the municipalities to have the same type of signage, so
Mhm.
everything just kind of blended together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the wooden street signs over there in Walnut Creek are awesome.
Pretty sharp.
They're really nice. But we have a lot of streets. That would be very expensive.
Very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
When the county just implemented their new county highway signs.
Yeah, now those look pretty
They're-
good.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and those, I mean, I think those kind of correlate to what we're already doing. A lot of that, you gotta watch, there are code requirements for traffic signage. So you gotta be careful about regulatory signage, you can't get too creative with it, it has to fit the manual of
For some
uniform
reason, I thought,
traffic control.
in Worcester, their street signs are absolutely huge.
They are big.
And I thought that was some type of state requirement to be a certain size. I don't know why I'm
I've
thinking
never
that.
seen anything on that.
But I will admit, it would be nice to have some bigger signage on our cross arms
Mm-hmm.
for our main streets.
We need better
And like
street,
the public parking
Cross street.
signs
that's
Yeah.
where I was
are
going.
way too small
Yeah.
Yeah.
that we have on cross arms.
Those, if I remember right, those were in the lots and then Kevin had them put up on the cross arms. Kevin Brooks back,
Oh,
cause those
I-
were,
I mean, yeah.
if I remember.
I know there's one over there by CSB, there's just a small, the public parking signs, I think, just need to be bigger, period.
Yeah.
Even the ones designated in the lots.
I think at the lots, we need to go to the traditional blue and white P.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Universal,
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Parking.
even
That's a
those,
good idea.
even those on the cross arms would be better than
Yeah.
what we've got.
it's like these now, it's a maroon sign with a white arrow.
And it
You
just
don't-
blends right into
you
the
don't
yard.
see
It does, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's all relatively low cost things that are easy and just check them off and you're,
Yeah, and then you're done. It's not like we're buying signs every 4 years, 5 years.
so wayfinding and directional signage improvements are definitely something we could get cracking on.
I mean, even those on the main street could be used with the fund. Can't think of it.
Permissive.
There you
Oh,
go.
yeah.
And maybe we could make the no trucks visible for, South
Yeah.
Washington Street as well.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe South Washington would be our number one
Well, I mean,
accident street.
well, the good thing is, I mean, that the new trees have been planted down through there don't need trimmed on the street side because the semis keep them cut right back, I'll tell you. The one in front of our house, I can hear semis go by and just
Oh,
ripping the side of that tree out.
oh no.
That's,
Bike trail signage, that's another thing it mentioned in here.
yeah, connecting,
Yeah,
that's always been it's one of those things I have to step back and say, if you weren't from here, you wouldn't know.
no,
It seems so obvious to us, but getting people from the trail depot up to here has always been a struggle.
But isn't there signage down there?
There's some,
Yeah.
yeah.
we were over at Miller's Creamery last summer and there were a couple walking with their bicycles down the sidewalk trying to figure out where,
How to get
how,
back.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, where they needed to go. They didn't know.
But even down, past Millersburg Electric, the airport park sign, it sits far enough back, you can't really see that.
Mhm.
I mean, you could adapt some kind of an entrance to trail from here
Mhm.
in hopes that we can eventually open that up more and have access to the trail down there. But I almost think that sign needs to be closer to the road so people can see it. Because a lot of times I've had people come to me and say, there's a parking lot back there, and I said, yes, there is. And then when you turn back there, that's when you can see the sign. But
Right.
you almost need to see it before you turn.
Back to your comment about the bicycles, and people trying to find, that's easy enough to paint on the sidewalk.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The bicycle.
The
Bike
bicycle,
symbol.
yeah, the
Yeah.
symbol, yeah,
I mean, that'd be inexpensive.
yeah, that would be very
That's a
easy.
good idea.
That is a really good
It's
idea.
not like we got a streetscape with brick sidewalks.
Yeah.
Right, right,
Yeah, in a perfect world, you could have direct access to the trail from the main street, but it's like that block up and half a
then-
block over completely throws everybody.
Yeah.
You just can't make that leap.
yeah,
But there's really no way to grant access right off
right
of,
off,
right
yeah.
off of, Main Street. But
Do we have that stencil, Nate? Bike?
That wouldn't be,
That wouldn't be a big deal.
I mean, you could also just put it on, like in front of Legion, you got handicap parking signs. You could do a bicycle trail sign on
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah,
just at the top of the signpost and,
So,
yeah.
I mean, there's any number of ways to do it.
yeah.
How many bike racks are there around the downtown, Nate?
we have two. There's the one up at the Bags parking lot, one at the courthouse.
I don't know how many the courthouse actually,
Courthouse is like
I get it.
4.
I don't know. I'd say at least,
I would say it's just 4 individual
yeah, could be.
pieces.
Pat and I were just talking about that. We think there should be one over at the laundromat, the old laundromat parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Is-
yeah.
Is it overkill to have one in every block?
I don't know.
I mean, I just don't know how much traffic there is of people bringing their bikes into the downtown that
Well,
would
when
need
those
that.
groups come in, there's a lot. It's,
Have you ever seen a bike racks that look like a bicycle?
Mm-mm.
No.
They're really neat. We were in a town here about a year ago. They had those probably every other block, actually along the curb line.
Oh,
They look like bicycles, but they're actually bike racks.
that's cool. So it was like there was one parking spot and then that was where you parked all the bikes?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And in my mind, it wouldn't be overly costly to add more bike racks, but those are probably one of the things, kind of like trash cans, that are much more
That are-
expensive
than you think.
it
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah, you think
Probably.
it shouldn't be
Well,
that much.
If you buy them
Right.
versus having, I mean, we got enough metal shops around Holmes County. Who
Right.
knows what you could design, have built locally.
Well, in this one, Nate, work with county engineer to plan for future water sewer services. I don't know that we need to work with the county engineer, but maybe get together with Nate and talk to him about if we're gonna have to, I mean, we're doing SCADAs and all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff daily, but what are we gonna need 10 years? You know, what are we gonna need future?
Well, that is something we look at periodically and talk about. We look at the ratings of the water, what we're capable of producing, and then our sewer plant capacity and what we're averaging usage-wise. We're a little over half of our capacity on the sewer plant. Yeah, a little better than half for our average. And then water, we're well under half.
So we've got a
We
ways
do
before.
Capacity-wise, we look at it, and then that makes us look at, okay, we got Worcester Road that we need to do something with, and we've got our list of projects that we need to do that are headaches. I think what I remember what they were talking about here was maybe not so much just Millersburg, but other municipalities looking at,
Doing water projects.
you've got, I'm trying to think of a good example of one, I don't know offhand. Not, just say Killbuck, you've got Crow Works that's right beside the village but not annexed. And beyond them, you've got space for industrial growth. I think that's where they were talking about, work with the county, the engineer to say, you know, let's look at what would be needed to extend services out
To
to make
there.
this more marketable.
Yeah.
whether
So
it's
that's not an
industrial or
issue that
residential.
we need to worry about.
Jeff and I were talking a little bit before the meeting. We're pretty well landlocked already.
Yeah.
We've got services to all of our corporation limits. It's, beyond what's been annexed, we can always look at west. We've got potential going west by the fairgrounds. South, we're limited because of floodplain, floodway, wetlands. East is hard to tell, but you don't have to go too far east until we can't service them because of the elevation without doing a huge project to boost our water. It's a little tricky. North and south, we're in a valley, so it's the same story. There's flooding issues up there as well.
But 241 has quite a bit. That could be
241 's
residential.
The Steinmal property, there's 40-ish acres there that,
Did that get sold, Nate?
I don't believe so.
Okay, I thought
I've
I'd
not-
seen the sign
Well,
come
I've
down.
not seen
A
any.
little farther north of there, what is it, the Voorhees or whatever, I don't think that's Steimel's, is it? But though it
Like
looks like,
across
they're-
from Klein's,
yeah,
out that way. Yeah, that's a separate piece. Yeah. Well, that's hips.
Hips.
Yep. There's really, like behind the 241 trailer park, there's 150 acres that hips own and more coming back to the east. Till you get to like Lighthouse, or
Gateway.
Gateway now, sorry.
That's going back a few years.
Yeah.
Calling it Lighthouse.
Lighthouse. It's been a while.
Careful, you're showing your age, Nate.
Yeah.
You wouldn't need anything real elaborate.
That's a bike rack? That's cool. Yeah, that's not elaborate.
How many
That's
bikes
cool.
can you anchor onto that?
I don't know. That's what it is, just a custom biker.
That's cool.
That was actually only $800. I'm surprised it's that cheap. 'Cause
Yeah.
How much for the trash cans?
Oh my
15,
gosh.
1500 or something?
15, 1600
Yeah.
piece.
It's
Yeah.
other pretty cheap.
Yeah,
You know,
that was a
something,
shock.
Kelly, that you mentioned early on and I didn't mention it at the time, but, you know, under items not mentioned, talk about creating new business packets to inform owners of signage. You know, I think in our planning and zoning meeting, we had talked once about trying to inform realtors, you know, of informing potential buyers what their obligation needs to be, you know, when they're putting up signage or thinking about new signage for the village of Millersburg, to put some kind of a packet together for those potential buyers. I think that's where it starts.
That's a good idea.
And then I think in addition to that, you know, if we reach out and, you know, kind of piggyback off that, but it'd be nice if they could get on board with that and provide that information.
Well, I will tell you that the group that is working on redoing the historic guidelines, that is one of the things that is on the list. That,
Okay.
I mean, that is one of the things that you and Marty are gonna be working on. I mean, we've kind of gone through and made the edits to it, and is now being compiled by Nate and Marty. So that is something that is on the list, is
Good.
having kind of a checklist, you know, of what you can and can't do, kind of briefly, and then pointing them to code for more in-depth stuff. So,
That's good,
so yeah, that is on the radar.
good. That is good.
You know, the other thing too that was mentioned early on was identifying housing areas that aren't developed, and as we all know, you know, the area north of town, where you live, they're building those new condos, and there's advertising all over the county. So that was an area, you know, a little over a year ago that, you know, was not on our radar, and it is now, and that's gonna be a hot area that has never been developed before.
I mean, still the biggest problem I have, number one, is gonna be traffic.
I understand.
And number two, we need housing for young families to grow. These condos are very small. And I just can't stand families going there.
I think the appeal is going to be the price, in as much as, you know, it's not going to be affordable for many, $239,000
No.
compared to what a new place is being built for. You know, it's probably in the average ballpark of.
My neighbor's
know
house
what?
sold for $239, right beside me. So,
And we've got a house in Meadow Glen that is on the market for $399,000.
Mhm.
So, and I know you're not comparing apples to apples, but,
No,
and I
no.
have not been in those condos, I've been by them, but
Saturday, open house.
is it Saturday?
We went to the last open house. They're nice. I mean, if you're looking for condos. I mean,
Me
but
too.
what I think will be interesting to see is once they start selling those to people, what kind of ripple effect there will be, because we don't know how many people are in homes that they really want to get out of because it's too much
Yeah,
house. They
yeah.
don't want to worry about the yard and stuff, and them moving up there is going to create those vacancies for the younger families to come in and buy homes. It'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see how that ripples. I don't know.
I think it will too, because my Peg behind me, she would like to move into something smaller because just by herself, her huge house is too big for her to handle. And
Yep.
yeah, I think that might very well be a thing that happens, is that ripple effect.
I'm just gonna wait, see what these places are gonna be like in 10 years. They have no footers. They use styrofoam molds, put concrete in between them, but there's no footers under there, and then just,
Oh, they're
you know,
poured concrete.
and then the floors, the concrete floors. They're really inexpensively built. I mean, watching them.
Getting back, sorry, to Tom, you'd mentioned a while back, I'd encourage all of you to go look at it. The village of Doylestown has a really good example of, they call it their citizens handbook. It's 11 pages, I've got it pulled up here. In fact, I could just, probably have the ability to just copy that and send it to you.
Yeah, that's good.
Now that I said that, I'll send that out to you all.
And what does it do?
It's an A to Z of probably frequently asked questions: animals, bikes, brush, leaf pickup, building permits, cemetery communication, to garage sale, library, meetings, mopeds, open burning, I mean, it's just a whole A to Z of topics, and Village Hall gives the business hours, water department hours, when they're closed for lunch, phone number, just a little, it's got the topic and then a little blurb about here's who you call, or here's what the information is. I really think we could put something good together that,
I think Millersburg had something like that years ago, but it was a welcome wagon.
Well, the welcome wagon was nothing more than a bunch of businesses donating stuff that they handed out.
But
to
still, they
residents.
did give
But-
some
but they really
information.
didn't talk about the village itself,
No.
Mhm.
you know.
And maybe if there is some kind of a short document, not to dump more on you and Marty, Nate, but is that something that could be
I was
done
just
at the
gonna
same
say, I'm
time?
not volunteering.
It seems like if you're already doing the business side of it, you know, with the information for new building owners and things,
Yeah,
it's kind of runs hand in hand with that.
a lot of it could, yeah. It's a good project. I don't mind. We can work on that.
I get a lot of, my neighbors is a trash heap, who do I call, what do I
Yeah.
do? I mean, that's,
Who
you know.
takes care of-
Who, yeah,
Of this or that, or. but
Right.
We get a lot. I think, so I'm sending this to you guys. Take a look at it and mainly the topic, see what else is needed. Or maybe not at Mayor's Court, we don't have Mayor's Court. Let's come up with a list from you guys of what you want in there, and then we'll work on putting it all together, if that's fair.
Mhm.
I would
don't think we
volunteer
should
to, I would
dictate what's in
volunteer
it.
to type.
Oh, we can handle that.
Okay, okay, if that's a
I think
issue.
it's easier than searching the website.
Yeah,
because
it's
Yeah.
in one place.
You go to and you just, here's what the village has, offers, parks and I mean, I just thought it was a very well put together thing I saw when I was
Well,
at
yeah,
Portland County. They actually have some that are printed too in the lobby as well.
that's good, cause if you wanna rent, if you wanna, you know, reserve something down at the park, then you
Right.
know how to do that.
We
That's-
got the theater,
The amphitheater,
that's there that's gonna be available, so again, it's more information and
mhm.
I think if you promote what the village has to offer, it attracts,
Yeah,
I mean, people are interested in parks and those kind of things.
mhm.
It's really,
That's what I was thinking.
Does it just, do they have you load a message or something, or?
We'd have
just-
to, we'd have to figure it out. Stainless steel or silver powder coat.
Still looking at bike racks.
And that's an outdoor kiosk.
Oh.
Oh, that kiosk? Oh. Huh, how much is it?
I could see one of those out here under the
Yeah.
awning. That'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have to contact, I mean, there's multiple companies that sell them, I just have to choose one.
Well, Sundays, a lot, you see people walking around, you know, kind of wandering the
Yeah.
downtown. I mean, I don't know if they would come back under here, but, you know, ideally it would be right out on the corner, the street corner, something with a sign, tourist info, something.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
again, that's out of camera range too,
The
but
ideal place, courthouse lawn.
yes.
yeah, that would be the ideal place.
Why don't you bring that up to the commissioners and see if they'd approve, besmirching their lawn with,
I mean, it could go right there around one of the tables in front of that statue.
Where the old telephone booth used to be.
there you go.
Drinking fountain.
Mhm.
Trying to get it away from the traffic a little bit more, though.
Yeah.
But at least there's cameras there.
Right.
There's all kinds of cameras in the back, too. They just cut a tree down. Be a nice spot for it. Nice big oak tree.
If you had one of those kiosks out here with a sign, like information, or, I'm sure people would see it and
Mhm.
use it. The other thing that is desperately needed is another set of public restrooms at the east end of the
Yes.
downtown.
What
That
was
is
that?
true, public
Restrooms
restrooms.
at
Oh,
the east
yeah.
end. We have the ones here. When the courthouse shut those off, well, that's been years, I believe. It really, it backs up out here. Certain days, there's a line of people waiting to get in.
Where would you even attempt it? That's the problem.
I have no idea. I mean, our property would only be the parking lot at Beggs. I don't know if that's something, would the commissioners entertain something at like the old BP
I was even
in the
thinking,
future?
or even behind Bags, attached to the office building, there along the alleyway. You know, the loading dock, you know, they put the generator in there,
Mhm.
and you could do something, I think you could possibly do something there somehow.
And the interim porta johns where kind of some places that have busy downtowns have porta johns located until you can come up with a permanent fixture. BP would be a nice
Mhm.
out of the way place to, I mean, they're not great, but
They work.
yeah, in a pinch.
Yeah.
And there's some talk too about implementing something like that at the park,
Yes.
on the baseball
Yeah.
fields and stuff, in the library.
Nate, did the restrooms at Clay Street Park ever get reopened? You and Pat were looking into or at least the water part of it anyway, getting that
Last
fountain
year
turned
they
back
were,
on.
yeah, but I mean, they're not, all of them are closed right now.
Okay.
We don't have heat in any of them. so
Right,
we
right, but I mean,
winterize them.
they were open last summer?
They were open
Okay,
last summer,
cool.
yeah. Yep.
Was that the drinking fountain and the restrooms? Or just the drinking?
I don't know about the drinking fountain.
Okay.
I know the restrooms were.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll have to look at getting the ones down at Old Airport open too.
They were open.
Over there?
Yep.
The drinking fountain was needed down there,
At
the old airport park. I think we discussed that.
Yeah,
Last
we
fall.
talked about that.
Mhm.
Talked about the prison fixtures
Mhm.
Yes,
to
yes,
discourage vandalism.
yes. What we need is a prison sink. Maybe that's what we need up there. Prison toilet.
Yeah. In my mind, a couple of these kind of go together. The Real Estate Advisory Board inventory of both residential and commercial industrial sites.
Mm-hmm.
What we talked about earlier, Bob, with what we had done previously, downtown occupancy, those kind of all dovetail together in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something, I don't know whether it's a subcommittee or what that is made up of, but there's no reason we couldn't look into that again. There were a handful of residential lots that would be available,
Mm-hmm.
potentially available. Keeping a good inventory on those, plus there's a few spotty commercial sites. And then looking at like that Steinle and Hip properties and working with, I don't know, a realtor or somebody to market them somehow.
Well, Kaufman's got the Steinmals listed. They're not gonna have much
But it's
luck.
all one piece, right?
It
They
is.
have it listed as one piece, that's the
I believe it's all
problem.
one.
I need a builder to come in and build like 30 houses. That's what we need.
I mean, if they split the lots, then it would be, I think they would have already been sold if they had split it into lots. But maybe they
You
just
need
wanna
Are
sell
any
it
of
as
those-
one
Need a
piece.
developer.
Platted out now?
vision.
Right,
None of them are platted out, even back to Lakeview?
And a big,
Oh.
it's big,
Huh.
big pieces.
I'm gonna have a little talk with Dan Miller and find out about that,
Mhm.
okay? 'Cause it's been on the market for 5 years? Has it been that long?
Not bad.
Really?
Close? It's been
Oh
a
my
long
gosh.
time.
Yeah, it's 2 parcels.
Wow.
39.73 acres and 3.545 acres.
How much is
39
the,
and 3.54.
how much is the ravine is that though?
Pretty much just the 3.5.
Is the
Hmm.
ravine?
You say 3.5? That was probably the lake property.
What property?
The lake property, the reason it's
Lakeview.
Lakeview Drive is that was supposed to be lake.
Yeah. It runs parallel with Lakeview Drive, so.
It was supposed to be a lake? Really?
They were gonna
I
dam it?
wondered,
But,
They were gonna dam it and,
yeah,
Have a-
yeah,
huh,
oh,
interesting.
yeah, that ravine was supposed to be, that's why it's called Lakeview Drive.
So it's supposed to be a
What
lake view.
happened?
I just remember hearing the stories about what the plans were.
Does it have the cost on there for each of them? No?
No, this is just the county
Weren't they
GIS.
asking $1 million? Wasn't it $1 million for it?
I don't know that it was that much.
I thought it was an obscene amount of money.
It was. I thought it was.
That was about 1.3 or 1.8 or something.
Mhm.
Can you uncheck mark any area? Any location? Huh. Search by price ones.
I know you're hunting. The other question I had was, and I know that this is a weird question, but is there any way we can put the same cameras that we put on the lights down south on these lights in town that would turn on after 10 o'clock p.m. so that I'm not sitting at the traffic light all by myself waiting for all the lights to go through before I can go? It's ridiculous at night.
Basically,
Trying to
you
get
want
through
them
this town.
flashing. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I don't care. They can be flashing, but you got to sit through the whole thing and you're the only vehicle in sight. It is very frustrating.
Is it just at the square you're having that,
Yeah.
in the turn lane? Or
No,
is it-
I'm trying to go straight to go home from north-south. And I pulled up at a yellow and I sat there and I waited for the turn signal, then I waited, then I waited, then I waited, and I was like, I should have started a watch. This is ridiculous. No cars came and I was the only one there.
It's almost like that when detector times doesn't pick up a southbound vehicle until a northbound vehicle's there.
You're talking square though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Square is radar.
Yeah.
Yeah, then that's not picking it up.
Yeah, at night it's ridiculous.
I know I've had truck drivers calling me about, like, between midnight and 6 a.m., if they're in the turn lanes, either north or south,
It won't
they
kick it.
don't get detected.
Mhm.
But through traffic does. So I've been working with Pathmaster to try to figure out what's going
What's
on
going
there.
on with the turn lanes?
And it seems to be since ODOT did the improvements there, or the project, I'll call it. I've not heard,
It is very frustrating.
is there specific times or any
No,
Does it seem to matter?
it doesn't matter.
'Cause I've not heard others. It's just been the turn lanes is what I.
Maybe because I'm the only one sitting at the light.
Now, when I'm there at 4 o'clock in the morning, I don't seem to have an issue. You know, maybe 35, 40.
Yeah, you're going north too, so.
That's true, I can go north.
Mm-hmm.
35,
Sometime
40
at 4 o'clock in the morning, just make a loop around and head south.
Yeah,
and see
go
what
south
happens.
and see.
Do some research.
Right, right.
Come on,
Well,
Jeff,
not
be a team player.
mistaken, Tom, there's now a new state law, if you believe the light's not working, you can go through a red light.
Well, that's what I'm gonna tell Jeff Lay. I believe the light was not working. And he's gonna say, "You're the one who wants more tickets, Kelly. Bring it on."
Nate, when that one smart traffic light down on the south end of town, did we pay for that or was that state money that did that?
At Walmart,
Yeah.
that was safety money, ODOT
Okay.
safety money, if I remember right.
I mean, at that time, we talked about that kind of being a lead into having the downtown ones done. Is that still on the,
Well, the square's done. None of the others have been. I'd love to get it at every intersection, just 'cause loop detectors fail way too often.
How much money is in that fund?
No idea,
Is that an auditor question?
it's an ODOT question.
ODOT question.
As far as safety money, I'm not seeing that too far. I've got vacant properties here in Millersburg, and I'm not seeing anything on the 241 listing.
Is it still on the market?
That's what I'm wondering.
I thought the sign was still up a couple weeks ago on the street.
I went out there a couple weeks ago and it was still up.
Doesn't mean it's still on the market, they might not have just taken the sign down.
That could be, yeah.
It was Kaufman, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it either.
What did his wife end up doing? I heard she became a flight
She's a
attendant.
flight attendant for Breeze Airlines.
For who?
Breeze Airlines, it's a
Breeze.
new airline. She's out of New Orleans right now. This kept talking about alternate transportation, Nate. I don't know how we could promote any kind of alternate transportation here.
Walking, biking,
Walking?
yeah. Foot and bike alternate would be appropriate for here, for Millersburg specifically. And that would good tie back into
To the
the trail
bike
connection.
trail.
Sidewalk improvements are always gonna promote more active transportation, they call it also.
Yeah, I think our sidewalk project going south is going to promote a lot more people to
Yeah.
walk.
Yeah, they'll definitely feel safer if they don't have to
Yeah,
cross to get to the sidewalk.
yeah.
Maybe we could resurrect Acres bus lines.
Maybe we can get all the retirees to make a taxi service. Would you be in my taxi, Bob?
Sure.
I'll call
Acres
you.
bus line used to be an Amish bus line,
Oh, yeah?
and they'd pull up over here by, well, the hotel now, and that was where the buses parked. And pick up the Amish and bring them to town.
My husband thought it would be a great idea for a guy transportation from Berlin over to here so they could have a drink while their ladies are shopping.
Well, you know, the Grand Hotel,
Yeah,
they make runs to Millersburg all the time for their guests to buy booze and take back over there.
I believe that. Believe that.
One thing that's desperately lacking around here is taxi or transportation, private transportation.
Not a lot of Uber drivers in Millersburg.
No, not a lot of Uber. DoorDash, none of that.
Uber wasn't, Krapowicki, he was doing it.
Was he?
Adam, I can't think, how do you pronounce his last name?
Shrapowicki?
Shrappa, I call him Krapowicki.
Shrapowicki.
There are a few, like for, was it, a couple of the events, Judy's hired a
Yeah.
couple to be around.
Yeah.
And they do okay on, but tonight, I'm sure there'd be zero demand for it.
Yeah, yeah.
The bigger issue though, I think there's senior population and, maybe, you know, poverty level that don't have transportation, that need to go to doctor's appointments or go to job, wherever, you know, they need to get places, but they can't.
Doesn't senior center run some type of transportation or not?
Not that
Or
I'm
they use
aware
those
of.
vehicles strictly for
I-
Meals on Wheels?
I believe that's what the vehicles are for, is meal
Because
delivery.
really, about the only transportation is veterans.
Yeah.
What about Angel?
That Angel Transport, I'm not sure, I thought they were connected with, like Midwest.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they
Community
are.
Service,
Yeah, I
community,
think you're right.
like the adult,
Yeah, I think that's all they haul, is their clients.
yeah.
Because who had that service before?
Well, the county did for a while,
What?
there was Holmes County Transportation.
Station.
And then, Craig,
Walkero, that's what I was trying to
Didn't he-
think of.
did he was it private before, and then the county, or
It was public and then Craig.
then Craig took it
Yeah.
private, but that, it didn't pan out.
It used to be in Woodville where Alex has his car lot,
Yeah,
that's where that
right.
operated from.
And who runs it now?
There is,
I mean, the Angel, who runs Angel?
well, I'm not sure,
Hmm.
I really don't know.
I don't know.
And that might even be division in Midwest even.
It's practically on, I can't think of his name.
Is Masters involved with it?
Yeah.
Roger?
Roger, yeah. I thought it was Roger and maybe Kevin Duff. Were they connected with that somehow?
I don't know. I
Well,
can ask him.
At that time, Kevin was training center doing the bus for the training. center.
Right.
I think that was the connection, they made that transition from Angel to, or from training center transportation to that.
Well,
Other than our projects that we have been talking about, are there other infrastructure upgrades that we need to be looking at on the horizon?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
a lot?
Not, I don't think it's ridiculous, but it's a never-ending list, because
Yeah, there's always gonna be.
everything's aging, every
Mhm.
year it gets older, so.
Mhm.
I would love to see us just bite the bullet and do the water line on Worcester
On
Road.
Worcester Road.
I mean, we've got the money.
It's your guys' call.
I agree with you.
Not gonna get any cheaper.
No, it's not.
My plan was to apply for OPWC money this fall
Mhm.
for that project.
Let's go on 7 o'clock, I think 1 hour is
It's good.
sufficient.
Mhm.
We can always have another get together in the future.
So, there's some things we've talked about that we'll start working on. Traffic study, I think, would be great to do, both downtown and the south, well, state
Oh, yeah.
route, all of them.
Mhm.
It'd be good to get updated numbers on all of those. That's something, I believe Omega will do traffic counts by request.
And how long has it been since one was done?
ODOT does them every 3 or 4 years, I believe, do you know?
I thought I remembered it hasn't been a terrible amount of time, but
It's always shocking to see the volumes that come through town. It's pretty impressive. And also explains why we have the congestion we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you could include Port Washington Road on that, because you get the bottleneck from the east
Yep.
to there.
Yeah,
And that's what backs up, and those numbers are gonna reflect at the square if you just do.
cause I turn there, I'll turn there and go down Adams just to get out of it. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Good.
Oh, something I wanted to mention was, you know, the Brown Bank, we have nothing here that would qualify for that. Brownfield.
We might.
The old Flexi plan again?
I wouldn't be surprised if that wouldn't.
Is that gone again? There's nothing, doesn't look like there's any cars there.
It's them. They
They
moved.
moved to Worcester.
Yeah.
They bought a building up there. They didn't have enough room down here to work.
There's a vacant industrial property.
It can be considered brownfield.
There's a
Who owns that? Mast?
mast.
I'm surprised he hasn't found
Warehouse.
something.
I'm sorry.
They're using it just for warehousing.
I don't know if they're doing anything. I've not seen any traffic in or out of there.
They might be doing something, cause I see a semi come up out of there periodically.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? They were back when the early 2000s when Vados Environmental was here. Do you remember that name, Devon?
Mm-hmm.
Some of you were here. They tested for the plume
Mhm.
TCE contamination. And it was hot up through there.
Hmm.
That's why I'm saying it could potentially be a brownfield site, but I don't know that.
But that would require demolition and reconstruction,
I
right?
believe so. I don't know hardly anything about brownfields.
Where were we talking about that recently?
Worcester's going through that right now.
No, I mean, I think you were in that meeting with, who was it with?
Was it part of this process?
I don't think so, it's been more recent
recent.
than that. It wasn't with Katie, was it?
Can't see how that would have.
Well, yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm dreaming, I don't know.
I don't know.
Everyone have a good evening.
Thank you for the prep work.